Hey, what's going on, guys? Gunshed here, and welcome.
Dear though, it was 12 quid for a sandwich salad and like a jam biscuit and a pot of tea. But I mean, considering I'll happily eat a large Domino's pizza to myself, it's and I couldn't finish that, I'd say it's worthwhile. But yes, so just out and about enjoying some rare February sunshine. It's been such a horrible month this month. Well, I went to the bank and did a few bits, and then just pottering around, which is quite nice. I don't actually know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but I've always wondered what's this way. I've seen these two corners up here. Thought, oh, maybe it's a nice road. So I thought, well, we'll give it a quick try. Go have a look and we'll see. Yeah, I've just been bimbling around all morning. It's been quite nice actually. Just sort of trying new roads. I can't say I've found anything spectacular, but sometimes it is, rather than just bombing it everywhere and, you know, riding the same fast roads, it's nice to just experience something a little bit different. As it this road that I remember being really good on a bike? I think it is. So I've been long here in a work van, but I think I remember it being a quite nice road. I just remember that turning, it just stood out. But that's how I've sort of been doing it. I've just gone, oh, you know, I fancy going down here, I fancy going down there. And sometimes there's a real joy of just jumping on the bike, don't know where you're going, and just exploring.
Constantly on the lookout for houses. Just because I hope to be buying one this year. Circumstances depending, but I'm not going into that, so I'm just going to have to do with the reason of circumstances depending. What a great idea. Look down at your passenger seat as you approach a roundabout. So I was reading a story the other day about a cafe in London, and it's celebrating things that are British, one of which they have like a mural of Winston Churchill on. You know, I would say he's an important British person. Anyway, people keep defacing it and putting, you know, scum, capitalist, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. But I don't understand why, because he's such... I mean, okay, you know, some people, you might not like the fact that he was quite elitist. He was. There's no doubt about it. You know, he was definitely not a... one to mingle with the classes as such, but the amount that man has done, without Winston Churchill, we would all be speaking German. You say, oh well, another person could have come along and stuff like that, but what a lot of people don't realise, he was actually a backbench MP at the time the war broke out. As the Germans were marching out of Germany into Austria, he said to Parliament, you know, we have got a problem here. This is going to be an issue. And the whole of British government turned around to him and went, don't be stupid. They called him ridiculous. They didn't see the Germans coming out, the armies coming out of Germany as a threat to the English or anything like that. He was a man who, they ridiculed him. They said, you know, he was given many gifts, charm, intelligence, and a fantastic imagination, which to be said in Parliament is incredibly insulting. But no one believed him, the fact that the Germans could pose a threat.
If the government had listened to him, then, you know, arguably the war wouldn't have been as bad as it was. So for people to turn around, and the things he did during the war, the decisions he had to make, that no one would want to make. He united a country, but lots of people don't care about that. It's like Nelson. Nelson was a fantastic man. You know, a true British hero. But lots of people go, oh well, he had slaves and stuff like that. But in his time, that was perfectly acceptable. I'm not saying it's acceptable by today's standards, but you can't judge a person for the actions that of generations, hundreds of years ago, because it just doesn't work, does it? I mean, if you think you know, the royal families had slaves and servants and things like that. People used to get decapitated. I'm not saying it's acceptable now, but back then it was. And I'm not saying that makes it right. I'm just saying that, you know, you can't judge someone by the standards of their day. You can only judge them by their, you know, if he was genuinely a horrible person and went round, you know, killing people just because he felt like it, then fair enough, he wasn't a great person, but he didn't. And I think it's really difficult to judge someone by today's standards when they lived in previous generations. You know, people look at sort of wars in Africa and countries trying to invade each other and stuff like that. We were just as bad. Most countries go through, as they are developing, a phase of violence and, you know, dubious human rights and things like that. A bit like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, although it's very rich, it's still developing in terms of culture and things like that. But if you judge it by a Western world standard, I mean, we did a lot worse in history. You know, we went in overthrowing countries, killing people that disagreed with us, you know, all sorts of things. But you can't, it's all about judging things with when they're in context. You can't just go, no, no, no. I mean, for example, and I'm not defending him, Hitler, okay? Hitler is a nasty person. Hitler is a vile, vile, vile person. And it wasn't even acceptable in the times of his day. He is a genuinely bad person. That's because he was unacceptable in his day. But to look back at someone in history and criticise him, everyone can criticise somebody. You know, if I knew the history of your life, I could probably criticise you, but I wouldn't do that. Chances are, in today's standards, whatever you've done is actually not that bad. It's a bit like people nowadays living out of wedlock and, you know, having sex before they're married and things like that. They'd probably turn around to us and go, we're terrible people. But to be fair, you know, you can't judge someone from one time by another time's standards. That's all I'm saying. And I've just ended up going in a massive circle because I took a left instead of a right. Literally, I am going to end up at the cafe I just had lunch at. You know, lots of people in history have decided as good or bad people, but you can't judge them in today's context. Lots of great sort of English kings and queens and things like that. If you judge them now, they are horrible people, but they're revered. You know, King Richard, he was considered a fantastic king. He launched the Crusades. He was responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths. So you kind of get what I'm saying. Sorry, it's turning into a bit of a rant and I'm going around in circles, but it's something that genuinely annoys me. And the fact that, going back to the cafe, that people took it upon themselves to deface someone's property because they didn't agree with someone they had on their wall. I mean, it's not like it was a Hitler statue or something. Hannibal Lecter or something like that, is it? Or we'll make it even more today's standards, Joseph Fritzl. But you just don't deface people's property. And that is a rant for another video. But, I mean, I'm going to need like an hour to vent the problems of some things, because some things just really irk me. And this video I wanted to make for a while, which I would call the problem with today's society, but I want you guys to let me know if you want to see it, because it is going to be around, but it is going to be backed up with lots of fact. See what I mean about we ended up going in a circle? I didn't mean that to happen. I don't think I've ever done that in a video, just gone full circle. Anyway, I think my camera battery's probably about to die. So I shall end the video here. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little rant, and take care.